Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. These are dual clutches. That's a wireless antenna. We're gonna talk about the first dual clutch wireless wheel for the Simcube 2 system. I'm very excited to do this review. We're gonna jump right into it. All right, let's start with the grips. This wheel has something called fabric material as a grip instead of suede. You guys know how much I can't stand the suede grips. They make your very expensive wheels look like trash. This uses something called fabric material, and it's like a plasticky, rubbery type of grip. It feels very good, but I don't know if I'd necessarily rock this thing without gloves for a while. The seams on the inside, I'm gonna see if I can get a close-up real quick. These seams right here are a bit firm, but they're not like, hurt you firm. I could just see it getting annoying over time. The rotaries on this wheel are very good also. There's a nice indentation and a good tactile feel when you move them. They're a little softer than I would expect. Not like the Simcore wheel or the Asher wheels. This is a little bit looser. It's kind of more in line with the SRB GT3 wheel that you guys know I have a big affinity for. These buttons are APEM buttons, if that means something to you. I'm not a wheel builder, but some guys are interested in the actual brand of button. To me, they just feel like really good buttons. And as you can see here, there's a funky switch kind of built right in here. Looks really incognito. A nice little stealth funky switch is good for everyone. I require them on all my wheels, and it's in a perfect position to access while you're racing. Outside of that, I think that's all the inputs that we have to talk about on the front. On the back side, obviously, there's going to be some inputs that we have to talk about. You got your dual clutch system right here. Come on, focus. You got your dual clutch system right here. You got your shifters right here. These shifters are comparable with the Simcore shifters. And you guys know I've been obsessing over them since I started this channel. These shifters are terrific, and the forged carbon fiber looks really, really nice on them. Forged carbon fiber on the paddles. The rest of the shifter is made out of regular carbon fiber. It's a nice thick carbon too. I believe it's like 3 or 4 mil thick. Actually, it looks closer to 4. Here's another input that we'll talk about too. This is how you adjust your dual clutch system. I'll show you about that when we start driving. I'm going to try and get the camera cocked in between my legs here. And here's your power button, like I mentioned before, in your antenna. But as you can see right here in this clutch system, let's see if you can get it. There we go. There's a nice little spring system right there. My personal opinion is this spring is a little too light for dual clutches. Probably a little bit stronger, maybe 20 to 30% stronger on the spring. And I think you'll have a lot of happy people. And as you can see, the rest of this clutch mechanism we'll talk about when we do a close-up. Very good wheel, lots of inputs, feels good. Don't need any more inputs in general. I think we're good here. We're going to do a quick driving segment where we talk about how it feels while we're driving. But I think we covered everything. The grips, like I mentioned before, feel really terrific. Even without gloves, it feels good. I've been caught driving this thing without gloves. It's a great wheel to have if you have friends that come over and want to drive your simulator all the time. You don't have to go through that awkward moment where you say, wear some gloves. So that's really good. What else do we need to talk about? I think that's basically it for now. This one section right here, I'm not sure, I'm not a big fan of this right here. As you can see, this whole wheel is made out of aluminum and really high quality carbon fiber. And then there's this little 3D printed part right there that just could have been a metal mill. I don't know why they went with 3D print right there, but maybe it's to save cost, who knows? I feel like the rest of the wheel is made out of aluminum. Let's just finish off and make the whole wheel like a professional grade wheel. But in general, it's not something to be concerned about. It uses 50 millimeter pattern right here, a 3-bolt pattern. I don't like 3-bolt pattern wheels. I think they have a tendency to get loose. And the first time you mount this wheel up to your SE2 system, you're gonna have to put a lot of pressure on the bolt. So you don't have like a little creaking when you're steering with high pressure. To solve that, obviously, you drive the wheel for a little bit, let it settle in position, and then I tightened it a little bit more. Hopefully it's tight enough. I haven't had the problem since, but I don't like the fact that I have to really tighten this section right here. So I'd prefer to have a 70 mil pattern that has like 6 bolts or something like that. I know you can't do it with this design, and this is probably the only way you can get away with it, but in general, I think that's something to look out for. Make sure these are tight when you have them mounted to your SE2 or whatever system that you're going to use for your quick release. Outside of that, this wheel is terrific. We're going to talk a little bit about how the clutch feels, how the clutch works. I'll show you how to set it up in iRacing, and then we'll do some driving and try to do some launches in either the GT3 Cup car or the Mercedes F1 car. So hang tight. We're going to jump right to the driving section in a minute. Okay, we're gonna get out here, do a couple laps, maybe 1 or 2 laps here at Snetterton. If you are practicing for your LFM license, do not use this car, it sucks. I hope I can keep it on track. Anyway, let's talk about the feel about this wheel. Most of you guys already have the Fanatic 650 wheel. In fact, that was one of my favorite wheels of all time, which kind of made me go down that journey of trying to build my own 720 wheel, which ended up catastrophically failing. Different story altogether. But the feel is kind of similar. Like, you know how that 650 wheel has like a really solid grip to it. It feels like you're really holding on to something, like a really important piece of mechanics to the car. This has the same type of feel to it. I think people who have I won't say an obsession, but people who really like the 650 wheel will probably like this one a lot, especially if you don't want to use the plastic wheel with your high torque system. So the grip feels great. It feels really good for big hands or small hands. I had a couple friends come and use it. They all love it. I don't have any feedback or complaints about the grips. Let's talk about the shifters though. That's one of the things I was really impressed with, is how good these shifters are. I wasn't expecting a good shifter. In fact, I was expecting something like soft and with no feedback like the Cube control wheels. I really don't like that shifter. I don't like that wheel in general at all. This one is closer to the Simcore wheel, which I really like. It's my favorite shifter on the planet. I don't think there are any shifters that can compare with it. If you like the Asher and SRB shifters and Simcore shifters, this one's going to be well up your alley. You probably like it a lot, because I definitely do. In fact, these are my second favorite shifters of all time. And if anyone gets better than this, you know, George, look out, you guys are in trouble over there at Simcore, because this is pretty close to the Simcore feel of shifter. I'm really happy with the shifters. We won't talk about the clutches right now, obviously, because we're not in a dual clutch car that actually gets any value out of having a dual clutch. But we'll talk about the buttons. Buttons feel like any other button. I'm not really too impressed with the buttons, nor should you be. I don't know if you can be impressed with buttons anymore. In my general opinion, like once you start playing with like hundreds of buttons, they all kind of feel the same. As long as they work is the most important thing. Speaking of that, this button right here in the bottom left is reserved for accessing the Simcube 2 torque system. So if you want to adjust your torque during a race, I believe you hold this down for a minute or a second, not a minute. Hopefully you don't hold any button down for a minute. Hopefully you hold it down for just a second, and you'll be able to adjust your SE2 torque, which is comes in handy, but I already had that button mapped in my ACC game. But other games that may not have that mapping would benefit from having that adjustability built into the steering wheel. So that's pretty cool. You know, the weight of the wheel is another thing that we have to start talking about, considering it is kind of a heavy wheel, but doesn't feel heavy while you drive it. And quite frankly, this is a 300 millimeter wide wheel. I'm really happy to have that size. Again, I think that's a sweet spot for GT driving, or any driving in iRacing or any simulator for that matter. 300 mil seems to be exactly where I want to be. The 310s over there on my bigger wheels are, you know, it's a little big. It's not like terrible, it's just a little big. This one feels perfectly sized for every single GT3 car I've driven. The front wheel drive cars, or I'm sorry, the rear wheel drive cars, the front engine cars, I like using the bigger wheel a little bit better because there's a lot more torque that happens in the front. This one kind of feels like it's dancing around the racetrack, and it's noticeable. I can feel everything through this wheel. Every little detail is, you know, transmitted through this Simline wheel. So the rotaries, like I said before, they feel very much like the CTS rotaries that the Sim Racing Bay wheels have. I'm pretty sure they're actually the same rotary. I don't know how you can get a feeling that close without them being the same rotary, unless it's like a, you know, a copy, but it kind of feels like the same rotary. So if you have an SRB wheel or any of the CTS, I think they're 888s or CTS 88s or whatever they're called, if you have that rotary on your wheels, you're gonna have a similar feel here. The metal feels good. Like I said before, the anodization looks really good also. Nothing to complain about with any of the inputs here on the steering wheel. The connectivity to the Simcube system, very easy. Like any other Simcube wheel, there's nothing specific that you have to do. Just turn your wheel on and it'll find it and connect to it, and you should be good to go. Adjusting the clutches is a little bit different process that I am used to, and we'll talk about that in a second once I go over to iRacing and start to get in the Cup car. But outside of that, honestly, man, this is probably one of the better wheels. The grip does feel closer to like the, I would say the way it feels in your hand is kind of closer to the Cube control wheel, which is a good thing. But in general, it just feels like a higher quality, more premium type of build than the Cube controls wheel. So that being said, I think that's enough driving for here. We'll just, you know, try to get a lap in and put the car back into the the paddock, and then we go over to iRacing and see how it feels with clutches. That's the big thing. That's the reason why you guys are here. You're not here for regular driving. There's plenty of wheels for that. You're here for the dual clutches, and we'll go try them out in a second. Let's finish this lap off. Like I said, the funky switch is in a good position. It's a little shallow. It's kind of like, I won't say flat with this surround here, but it's not like poking out. And one of the feedback pieces that I had for the SimCore team was their funky switch was a little too deeply embedded into the wheel, so it was hard to get to with gloves on. May not be relevant if you're looking for a wheel where you don't have to use gloves. This is it. And oh, this simulator, for some reason, if you're in second gear, it comes out of pit. But it is a little shallow, so like if you're gonna go bare, you'll be fine. If you're wearing thin gloves like the Hyper ones I use, the Sparco gloves, you won't have a problem with them. I've been using those gloves with this wheel. Everything is perfect. Don't have any challenges or issues with this wheel, at least for my use case. But like I said, I use really thin gloves. So we're gonna jump over to the Cup car in iRacing, see how that thing performs with this wheel. Definitely gonna show you guys how to set up the shifters, how to launch the car, at least how I launch the car. It may not be the right way, it's the way I do it, and show you the results of it and show you why this is a valuable wheel, because it really helps out if you're a Cup driver or a Formula driver. So we're gonna jump over to iRacing right now. All right, guys, we're here in iRacing. I'm gonna run through the setup real quick, show you how I set this dual clutch system up with iRacing, and hopefully you guys can benefit from that and maybe set your own dual clutch wheels up easily. So let's go into iRacing and go into controls. And I'm going to recalibrate my pedals just for the sake of this. I'm using Usingveld Ultimates now. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then for brake, we're gonna hit done. I think I just set that. And for clutch, I'm gonna use my left hand clutch pedal. And as you guys can see, look at that. That's mega. So I'm gonna set that to 100 and click done. The important part about the dual clutch system is using the secondary clutch. So if you go to second clutch here in control, go to second clutch and then do the same thing. Well, I'm gonna actually twist this. Remember that adjustment point we talked about before? I'm gonna set it to 100. All right, so there's 100% range there. And I'm gonna back it down to roughly 40%. Cool. So now if I fully engage the right hand clutch, it's going to 40%. We'll leave it there for now. We'll tune it if necessary, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Here we are. So now we're sitting in the Cup car. We're basically sitting on a flat straight. This is as flat as I'm going to use right now. I'm going to go down to first gear. Hold both clutches in. Obviously, I don't need to hold both clutches in because this one's set to 100, remember? So we're going to go to hold both clutches in, floor it, let go of the left throttle, and I have a little bit too little clutch engaged. So what I'm gonna do there, and this car is weird because you can only do like a launch once before it gets like a little angry with you. I'm gonna set this clutch and then just take a look and see, maybe go up to like maybe 45%. And let's try one more time and see if this car will do it. That's a pretty decent launch.
3, 2, 1.
Let's try again. The thing about this Cup car is you can only really launch once because it kind of burns the clutch up, and so let's get it right the first time. So like I said, guys, we have the left paddle set to 100%. The right paddle, I just moved it to roughly 44% after some test runs. It didn't really work that well. We're gonna put the car in first gear. We're rolling backwards. Put the car in first gear. I'm going to hold both clutches in. I'm going to step on the throttle, release the left, and slowly release the right. And there we go. No wheel spin, no nothing. We're off to the races. That in itself could probably gain you a couple positions off the start. So big value in having a dual clutch system. Let's try it again though. Let's go around this corner. Maybe find another straight and see if this car works. Like I mentioned before, it doesn't like to have multiple launches on. It kind of burns the clutch up. So let's go here and try it again. A little uphill this time, no big deal. Okay, stop the car. First gear, both clutches in. Foot on the gas. Let go to the left. And slowly, you hear the clutch burning up? Yeah, it only works once. Let's try a fresh launch again, just so you guys can see that whole process. And then I'm gonna try to get a camera in there and show you what it looks like when you're holding onto the paddles. To me, that's mega, especially if you're a Cup car racer or an F1 racer or F3 or F2 racer. Anything that has a clutch where you have standing starts, this is what you want to use. Okay, this looks to be somewhat flat. Little wheel spin there. All right, back to first gear. Left clutch in, right clutch in. Foot on the gas, let go of the left clutch. Very simple. Yeah, that's mega, mega, mega. That's so good, especially for the start of these races, because as you guys know, how many times have you seen people spinning their tires at the start of these races? Often. Anyone that's spinning tires is going to get swallowed by you if you have a good launch. So maximum value for this wheel just because of the dual clutch system. Let's try to get a camera in under my legs and see if there's even possible. And then we'll do a shot where you can see exactly how to let the clutches go. But A-okay in my book. Hopefully you guys understood what just happened here. Left clutch set to 100. The right clutch is going to be set to your bite point, or just roughly around that area. You got to have to tune it, obviously. And then you're off to the races. One thing of note that's very important, make sure you check this every time. This isn't one of those set it and forget it type of deals. This thing is very easy to move, and that's a piece of feedback I have for Simline is if you can come up with a way tighter rotary here to where if I just baby touch it, it adjusts the whole thing. So now I have to retune it again. Keep your hand off of it, set it for your race, make sure for every single race that you got it set. But be careful about adjustments because it could be very impactful if you have it set to a certain percentage and then you go to launch in a race and you're spinning tires or ripping the clutch apart. So massively important part. We're gonna try to get a camera down there and I'll show you guys what it looks like while I'm shifting. Okay, so like I mentioned before, I'm gonna try and get a shot from down here and shoot up so you guys can see the motion of my hands when I'm doing this dual clutch. Again, we're in first gear, left clutch in, right clutch in. This is the bite point clutch, or you can set it to the left, whichever one you choose. But this is the one I'm choosing. So left clutch is 100%, right clutch is roughly around 43%. And we're gonna go full throttle, let go of the left, slowly let go of the right, off to the races. Mega, that's so good. I'm really happy with just that function in general. And like I said, every time you're going to want to make sure every race you're going to adjust it for your race, adjust it for the track temperatures, all that good stuff. But the adjustment is really close. And if I need to move the bite point, all I need to do is reach down here and right there and rotate it to where I like it. So mega, mega, mega. Good job there, guys, for sure. All right, so that is the Simline 720 GT3 wheel. You can also get this wheel at simline.eu. There's a discount code that I got for you guys, GT Greg. It'll get you 5% off of this purchase. My opinion, this is probably one of the better wheels on the market. Comparable with my Simcore wheel. This is my daily driver now. I've been using it nonstop for the last 3 weeks. I'm really happy with it. No problems within that time period. I don't see anything happening with this wheel. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. More, I hope you guys enjoy this wheel because if this is a sign of the future to come for these SC2 wheels, the future's looking really, really bright. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you guys next time. Oh, don't forget to sub to the channel. Why haven't you subbed? Do it, please. I need it. Have a good weekend, guys.